Hello, my name is Brittany D. I am a psychic medium and spiritual teacher. My divine purpose is to assist in the expansion of the collective consciousness and to help you become more connected with the divine. This is a space to remember all that you truly are and ignite the possibilities of your highest potential. Hello, 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 and thank you so much for joining me in this now present moment. I am so excited for the podcast this week. I have Tim Babasol. He is a spiritual influencer, and I absolutely love his work. I was so excited to get him on the podcast. We had a little mix-up, and then I was like, no, and then we got it together, and I was like, yes, okay, he's going to be on. This is perfect. And I'm so excited and grateful to have him. Thank you so much, Tim, for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Although it's new for me, I love it.
Yeah, Tim is joining us from Sweden. It's what time there? What time is it there?
It's 7:45 in the evening.
Yeah, it's almost 2 here. 1:45 to 2, in the afternoon here. So, I just wanted to bring Tim on and have him share with us, his journey, what brought him to this present moment where he's sitting here with me recording this podcast. And, all of the trials and challenges and choices, that led him to where he is now in life. And I also really wanted to talk about, that divine masculine perspective, what that journey is like, because I have personally developed, my inner masculine and really working on that because I realized that I was really in my divine feminine. And so, I always find it interesting to talk to a divine masculine who has to, kind of move through or maybe you didn't, but, move through balancing the divine feminine and being more in touch with both. I feel like it's a different experience, depending on where you start. So go ahead and just start by telling us how did you get here?
Well, I've always had an interest for the spiritual life. My mother has always been spiritual, even since I was a little kid, and my father wasn't. So there was this, the family kind of split in half. One half was following my father's footsteps, and one half was following my mother's. So, yeah.
That's so
it's like
interesting.
The way it goes.
Yeah. But it's obviously what resonated with you. You're not just going to follow your mom,
No,
you would as a child to an extent, but it's what resonated with you more, if you had that option.
Yeah.
So.
Of course. It's like you can't get the spiritual from learning from someone else. You have to experience challenges and you can read a lot of insights, but you have to use them in real life. You can learn a lot from just reading or studying or doing, but we have to utilize that information, that divine information.
There's wisdom from our ancestors, it's been passed down to us. and it is, like you said, to study it and to look into it is important, but it's also like the experience when you're really in it, that's where the real wisdom is. That's where the real gold is. Those choices in life.
So, I guess my journey started when I was born, of course, but my spiritual journey started when I was 18, I think. And before that, my parents got a divorce when I was 13, and it was a big, awful thing, parents fighting, and my dad was actually very violent, and we had to flee the country even. So me and my mother and my two little siblings, my sister and my brother, we fled to Greece, and
gosh.
It was crazy because he was threatening my mother all the time, and I was 14 years old, and it was kind of like an adventure. I didn't see it as a escape in that kind of sense. It learned me to appreciate the moment, because we didn't have so much money. We didn't know if we could even eat for the coming days sometimes. But yeah, we trusted the universe, and we needed to escape from Sweden. No, it wasn't an escape. It felt like it, but then we realized that we needed it to heal. My mother needed to become free from this super attached relationship that has been
that's
been
wild.
going on. Yeah.
That's a wild experience at 14 years old. Now, I had a big shift in my life whenever I was 13 years old. So I know like kind of that same potent age, that same time. My mom was going through a divorce, and it was really, really rough. And we were in New Jersey, which is where my dad was born, but my dad and his whole family lived, which is where I was born. But my dad had passed whenever I was 3 years old. So she remarried, and that's who she was going through a divorce with. And my mom's entire family is in Kentucky. Like her entire family, like no one has left. All of the generations are here. And
it's a big step.
And she was in New Jersey, like completely by herself. And whenever my dad passed, her whole family was like, dude, you need to come home. Like, you need to come here. We can help you. We can watch the kids while you work and And she had a really successful business that was in New Jersey. And so she didn't want to lose it. And so she stayed and just had people watch us and paid people to watch us and just did it on her own as a single mom. And so then whenever she got remarried and they got divorced, that's when she finally was like, I'm done fighting the universe. The universe wants me to go home and I'm done fighting. And she just came to me and she was crying because she had asked me, do you mind if we moved to Kentucky 2 years prior to that? And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I've grown up my whole life here, Mom. Like, I don't even, like, I knew her family, but like, this was my home. And so I was like, no, if it's an option, I'm not going anywhere. These are all my friends. Like, I'm not leaving. And then it was about 2 years later that she came to me and she was just crying and on her knees and was like, I know you don't want to leave. Like, I know that we've had this conversation, but I don't know what else to do, Brittany. Like, can you please, like, can we please, I don't want to pull you out of this. I don't want to force you out of this. I want to do this together. But you're not understanding because you're a child, you're 13, you're a teenager. You're not understanding that you wanting to be with your friends is major struggle for this entire family. And so, I was like, okay, like obviously it's that I could see it in her eyes. Like I could feel it with what she was saying. And I was like, okay. And so, I mean, I had a little mental breakdown because I knew my whole life was about to change, but it was a huge step on my spiritual growth. That's whenever I realized that I created my reality, because I went to a whole new reality where culture was completely different. Everyone was completely different, and I was like, oh, so like, everyone just creates their own place. And I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't even realize that.
Well, I kind of had a talk too with my mom, before, because I had my friends and my family and my life in Sweden, in Gotland. We moved from Gotland, where I live now again. By the way, excuse me if my English doesn't sound top notch.
No, you're totally good. It sounds great.
It's different in writing, I've noticed.
No, I love it. I love it.
Okay, great. It was very, very scary, but I kind of understood that, like your mom said, that she had to do this.
Right.
And I understood it. And I was ready to go with her. I didn't want to stay with my dad, and I thought it was the right choice. And in hindsight, it really was, because Wow.
I agree. It was the same. It was the right choice. I think it's so interesting. Like, I'm just sitting here. I'm like, wow, we had no idea that we went through this like same, pretty similar life thing at the same exact time in our lives, in our journeys. That's really cool. This is like really beautiful to connect in this way, because there's not, not everybody. I know a lot of people that have lived in the same place their whole life. Like, not everyone understands what it means whenever your mom comes to you, like, I have to do this. I need, like, this has to happen. And you're 13, 14 years old and you're like, what? Oh, okay. I guess this has to happen then. And you just have to roll with it, and you got to figure it out as you go,
Yeah.
But it creates.
It gets you thinking about life. Really, for the first time in your life, you really think about the value of life and how we must nurture it
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, because that's exactly what it was, is that it really put in perspective what life is. What is the, it really got those why questions really started amping up.
The why questions, when those starts.
What the hell is going on? Why is all this happening? What is this? So how long were you guys in Greece for?
About 1 year, and then my grandma, she's very close to my mom and us children. She was sick in cancer in Sweden, so we wanted to meet her for the last time, and so she flew to Greece in the last stages. So she was very sick, so she came and visited us, and then we just realized that she's really sick. We have to go back to Sweden. We can't just let her die here. Like we were, my dad had the custody. That's why my mom fled, because he threatened her to take the kids away from her, and he kind of brainwashed me and my siblings in a cruel way to think ill of her, And I saw that. I began to saw it, and that's why I was going with her. And my two little siblings, they didn't know anything. Me and my mom kind of just protected them, and lived in the present moment with them like kids are supposed to. But we were chased by inter police and everything, international police. It was a big thing.
God.
Yeah.
You're like legit flee the country, like not just like dipped out, like you legit flee the country.
Yeah. And
so did anything happen when you went back to Sweden?
Yeah, we went back, but my dad, he was kind of like obsessed with my mother in a strange way. So he didn't want to press charges or anything. She could have gotten to jail.
Right.
Even though she didn't kidnap her kids, of course, we wanted to go with. We wanted to escape that all the fighting, all the drama that he was creating. So it was a big relief for us. So that she would be sentenced like a child abductor is insane for us. So it was a crazy time. But he didn't press any charges against her because, like I said, he was kind of obsessed with her in a really unhealthy way. Hence the divorce. So he tried to get back with my mom, and my mom got back with him just for the kids to because she knew she would lose them if she didn't do as he said a little bit. And then we lived from I was 14 years old till I was 18. For 4 years we lived like that, and until I was 18, we split up, and that was when my real awakening happened, I feel like. Because we were living in those, it was not a good environment to live in when it's based on that relationship,
Absolutely.
But,
it's super hard to see anything clearly when you're in like a super toxic space.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just trying to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely been there. Totally understand that. So where did you leave the house when you're 18? Is that what you're saying?
No, my dad left the house because me and my sister and my mother, we were kind of, we were waking up. We were starting to realize that what a magical
what was
life
actually
is.
happening here.
In the midst of the storm, we discovered love, and we just knew we had to break up from our dad. We had to cut him out because he was very toxic, and he tried to he tried to mimic our behavior and like be spiritual and stuff. And yeah, it was kind of weird. And he really was like, I don't know the word, hooked on it. Yeah. And we saw it, and he is a narcissist, a typical narcissist.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to say when you were finished talking. Yeah. There's actually a specific, and I know this because I've dealt with it myself and I put a bunch of study into it. There's actually this specific category of narcissists that are called spiritual narcissists. And they intentionally or subconsciously, there are narcissists, they don't realize what they're doing, but they twist spiritual truths, like actual spiritual truths, and they twist them and manipulate them to control you and to manipulate you.
Yeah, he was trying to do that, but he was a narcissist even before he tried to become a spiritual one. So,
yeah. Yeah, they are. That's how it happens. Yeah, they just learn. They just learn the spiritual stuff, and they're like, "Oh, this is
exactly a new way to implement their behavior."
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Wow, I definitely know what that's like. I actually dated one of those, and it was really. I empathize with your mom. It was really intense. It was so intense because these are real spiritual truths that you believe in, and then. Like it's twisted and you're like, so then you're all like discombobulated in your brain. You're like, wait, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. But also how would that make sense? And then you're like all in this total.
Yeah, that's so dangerous. They mix like 70% truth with 30% lies.
Yes.
And then you like resonate deeply with the truth. And like, yes. And then they throw in the lies and you're like, whoa, what is this? Yeah, I totally know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. It's really a mind fuck in the simplest way of saying it.
Yeah. And if you become mind fucked, it's not a spiritual truth.
Right.
It liberates you.
Yes, that is the perfect way to say it. If you become, oh my God, that's so gold. If you have become mind fucked, then it's not a spiritual truth. Spiritual truths are super simple.
Yeah. It's like ridiculously simple sometimes.
Exactly. Like mind blowing. Like you're like, wow, it's been this simple this whole time. And I've been like over here struggling. So, what are some like practices? What are the like things, I do definitely want to get into like the divine masculine and like, the healing journey and what are like modalities, you said that the practices that you guys would do and all that kinds of stuff. Like what are some of your practices that you incorporate and, what is your healing journey as far as what have you seen come up as, a divine masculine, those wounded parts and the things that need to be addressed. The reason why I'm curious is because whenever I started intentionally healing my divine masculine, I didn't know this, but whenever you start to, or at least in my journey, I guess nothing is across the board for anyone, but whenever you start to address that like whatever the counterpart is. So like for me, it was the divine masculine. Actually, the wounded parts of the masculine come up first because those are what needs to be healed. So I was like trying to step into my divine masculine and all of these wounded, like I was trying to be masculine, but it was the wounded masculine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize what was happening. I was like, no, I'm being masculine. Like I'm igniting my masculine side. And it was like a totally wounded masculine.
Yeah.
And then luckily, because I do a lot of, courses and classes, and things, myself, even like I learn It was in a course that she did a whole class on the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And she talked about how when you really tap into that other counterpart, the wounded one will come up first. And it was just one of those moments where your mind just goes like, boom. I'm like, oh, that's exactly what's happening here. That's exactly my problem.
Yeah. The femininity and masculinity go hand in hand.
Right.
Like, so when you need to heal the masculinity, for example, it could be something in your feminine aspect that you need to look at for you in order to even heal the masculine parts. Mm-hmm. That's how it was like for me. I needed to heal my masculinity. I needed to embrace my femininity.
Right.
So they could merge, so they could like unite within me.
Exactly.
And yeah, I know I'm not totally in harmony with these energies every day. It's a full-time job. Every day we gotta unite us. It happens every day.
It is a full-time job.
Yeah. Like, it's not like, I have united my polarities. No, I'm like this.
Right.
Thank God. I can relax for the rest of my life. But it's an everyday job. Mm-hmm. Every time we rise up and we breathe and we let it. Things are so simple that it's ridiculous sometimes. I think it's the mind just needs to get out of the way, and we just do it naturally. Mm-hmm. We just have to have an intention of what we want, and we just have to allow it to take place, and it will take place. And yeah, like the masculine part.
I'm sure some of my listeners are like, "What? That's so much easier said than done. Yeah. How do you do it though?" And we're just like, "No, really, that's really all you have to do." But it really is like, it's all so much more simple. And this gets repeated in a lot of my conversations on my podcast. So I'm glad that we're just affirming that and affirming that again, so that people really understand that it's not just this person saying it or that person saying it. Like, this comes up continuously in my conversations on my podcast specifically. It really is that simple. Like, it really and truly is. And of course, like, you know, there are practices that you can do. Like, I'm very ritualistic. I'm very practice, self-development oriented. My spiritual maintenance that I do every single day is I give pretty much all of the credit outside of spirit, you know, for why I'm able to live my life the way that I do with the mindset that I do. My spiritual practices are really where I'm rooted and grounded in the present moment. That's how I get to the present moment. I'm all discombobulated if I don't do my practices.
That's so great. Like rituals or anything that you can do every day. Exactly. And yeah, there's so much things to do. Like, I don't do the same thing every day. I can do a lot of different. I can go for a walk and just a walking meditation. Mm-hmm. I can just do some yoga. I can just sit quietly with some music and some tea. Or, like, there's, as long as you have an intention of what you're going to do and you're present, that's the healing part. How everything else looks, it doesn't matter. Like, so long as you are present with your pure intention and let go of the mind here and now, it will be done. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you and your mom are doing as far as your healing practices and the things that you guys are kind of starting up.
Yeah, we have been offering healing and readings since 2014, I think. And my sister was in it too. And we were working with the Power 3.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, the Power 3 will set you free. That was kind of our motto. And we helped
that's
a lot
so awesome. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And we have Facebook groups with, and we have had those groups since 2014 too. It's a couple of thousands of members. It's a Swedish spiritual groups, and it's called the Sun, Magnetism, and Mother Earth, but in Swedish. And through that group and another group, we have been creating a spiritual network in Sweden and offering our services, readings, healing, distance healing, and chakra balancing, and so on. Yeah, and it's just been becoming more and more, and soon we have actually started a business that we're planning to start up soon. But since COVID, it got kind of slowed down a bit, and all of that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of things got slowed down. Yeah. I had to close my office. I used to have an office, and
oh yeah,
yeah, I had an office where I was working with people in person for their readings and all of their healing sessions and guidance. And it was probably 2 or 3 months into COVID, and I had like one person coming in person, and I was like, this makes no sense for me to have this anymore. It sucks because I miss my clients. I love giving them a hug, but they have communicated that it's actually much easier for them to be able to just pop on, Zoom calls, to be able to connect and do the work. So, I guess it worked out for everybody, but, I do miss that space. I miss having a space away from my home. That was like my spiritual space.
Yeah.
And I also miss being able to literally squeeze my clients, like just squeeze them to death.
Yeah, that's great. Human contact.
Yeah, it's healing.
Wow.
Yeah.
How we miss it.
It is literally healing to touch other humans.
It's two different universes coming contact. That friction is, wow, that's a lot of healing.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for saying that. I absolutely love that. It is though. It's two universes connecting.
It's, wow.
It's what's happening, and we feel that power, but those are really, to me, those are really good words for it to describe that. Like, it's the universe. Like, I'm just like picturing this swirling universe from my heart space, and then it links with another, and yeah, it's two universes coming together. It's just beautiful. I loved that.
Yeah, wow. Two heart spaces becoming one, infinite space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Our heart space is infinite by itself, but the power when those two spaces come together, it's like you were saying, wow.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And people take that stuff for granted. Like, it's so magical. Everything is so goddamn magical, and people just they have been learned to ignore it.
Yep. And
pretty much.
and like what I noticed is, because I've been going on my like abundance journey and my money journey, and really like addressing and developing a healthy relationship with money. And one of the things that an exercise that I did was that I was called to do, like my guides were like, this is what you need to do, was to not spend any money on anything I didn't need, like literally need, for 3 months.
That's a good one.
What?
That's a good one.
And next week is my celebration of my 3 months, and I'm super excited to like go take myself out to dinner and like all these things that I don't need. But over this process, like as like now that I'm getting to the end of it, like there was a time, like especially this was over Black Friday when all of my friends, like I have a lot of friends that have services and jewelry and, you know, bath bombs and all these kinds of things that I love. And I want to support them in their business. And they have these Christmas sales and Black Friday sales and New Year's sales and all these things. And I'm like, oh man, like I really want to support you right now. This is really hard. But it was my boundary. It was what it was my discipline. It was my lesson. It was what I needed to walk through. And so now, like at the time, it was kind of like, I'm like looking at my guides and I'm like, why do you want me to do this? Like, I don't understand why I have to do this. Like, I understand the discipline, but like, I'm disciplined all day long. Like, do I really have to do this? But now that I'm on the ending side, like I'm a week away from my 3 months being done, I'm like, oh my gosh, they are not playing when they say the best things in life are free. Like, I don't need anything. Like, I really don't even, like, what I actually need is so minimal. And I have really learned how minimal it really is. Like, it's really not that much. I just really need shelter, food, water. I'm actually pretty good otherwise.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, like really and truly the best things, I know it's so cheesy, but the best things in life really are free. Those heart connections, those gatherings in those spaces, you know, exchanging information and connecting with someone like what we're doing right now. You know, there's the things that, or even just your own enjoyment, like dance. I had so many like times when I like wanted to take myself out to dinner and instead I just had a dance party in my living room because that was free and I had a great time. Like it was a great time. I still had a great date night with myself, you know? Yeah. But I've just been trained to take myself, like a self date is take myself out to dinner or something. You know, that's what I was trained in my brain. And so my guides were like, let's break that thinking. Let's break that way of operating.
Yeah, that's crucial. The whole thing you just said. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was really intense for a while, but you know, for the first like a month, it was really hard. And I'm not going to pretend like I didn't cheat. Like there was this one time that I like went and got a coffee, and then like as I was drinking the coffee, I was like, this feels like shit. Like it's like, why did I go do this to myself? Like I don't even want this coffee now. But you know, little things like that it's kind of like fasting, but for money.
Yeah, I was thinking that exactly. That thought, fasting. It popped up in my mind. I was doing a fasting a month ago, a fruit fast for 4 days, I think.
A fruit fast?
Yeah, I only ate fruit and drank water.
How was it?
It was intense at first, but then you get into a certain state. You just accept that you're hungry, and then it disappears, and then the presence becomes more and more alive in a weird way, and you like, and you can feel the lightness. It's like you are the air, and like the elements and everything feels so much pure, and you can feel the wonderful euphoria like you can't with cooked food.
Yeah, it's that is a great word for it though. It is euphoric. It really is euphoric. I love fasting. I do a yearly fast every year, and it's 21 days. I spend the first 7 days is water only. The second 7 days is like from day 7 to 14 is like broths and soups, any kind of liquids. And then the following 7 days, day 14 to 21 is whenever I add in like raw vegetables, maybe steamed, like lightly cooked.
Yeah.
And then I can have a regular meal. But that first 7 days when it is just water, that is like when you said euphoria, I'm like, yeah, that's the best word for it. Like you're just like in it. You're like in this infinite sea of euphoria.
Yeah. But wow, 21 days, that's a long time. I only did 4 days, and that was a lot for me.
Well, the thing is that the first 3 days is always the most intense.
Yeah.
And so once you get past that like 4th and 5th day like the end of day 5, 6, and 7 is like, okay, I'm just kind of waiting for this, I'm just kind of chilling. Like, I'm just kind of like, I know this is going to be over. It's really not that bad. I've done it for 4 days now and it's really not, it's challenging. Like last year I picked up, or I should say the year before that, because I was cleansing it through that fast. But I actually got, this is something to share here. I actually got hives all over my body whenever I fasted. And it happened on about the 3rd or 4th day. And I didn't know what was happening. I was like, I've done this fast. Like, this has never happened before. It's not my first time ever drinking just water for 7 days. I'm like, what is happening? Well, I was working at this corporate job at the time, and I had made this habit. Prior to this in life, I didn't drink coffee every day. And so then I made this habit where I was, we would go into work and they had a cup, a pot of coffee every day. And so everyone would go drink coffee or whatever. And so I would just started getting in the habit of like, oh, okay, I'll have a cup of coffee. And then the next day, same thing. And then the next thing you know, I'm just drinking coffee every day.
Yeah.
Well, I would put sugar in my coffee. Now it was organic sugar, but it's still sugar. And so I was drinking sugar every single day. And whenever I went to do my fast, my body broke out in hives from not having sugar.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was going on. And I looked it up, and they actually, the name for it, like there's like when you look on the internet, once I actually figured out what it was, it's called the keto hives, because a lot of people that transition like hard into a keto diet, keto doesn't have any sugar. And so it's really common that people will break out in hives if they do a hard switch to the keto diet. And so luckily I found like a lot of other people that had also, dealt with this and suffered from this. And so I actually, in the middle of my fast, I took 2 Benadryls, which I usually only do water, like only water goes in my body, like no other consumption of anything, not even vitamin, nothing. And I had to give in and take 2 Benadryls. And then I woke up the next morning and all of the hives were gone. I was completely fine and I could finish my fast. And I was like, what the hell? 2 Benadryls? Like, I don't ever want to take, medication like that. And I definitely didn't want to break my fast. Like, I was supposed to just be consuming only water, but my body literally needed something fast. Yeah. Like, I let it get really bad, Tim. Like, it was all over. It started like on my back and on my butt, and then like moved around to my stomach. And it got to the point where it was all over my legs. It had moved up to my neck, all over my arms. God. And then whenever it got on my face, like it was on my cheek and then my forehead, that night was when I was like, calling in the troops. I'm like, yo, we don't mess with the moneymaker. This is on my face. What's happening? And so that's when I really started like, okay, I need to do something, and I need to do something fast. And then, multiple people were like, dude, Benadryl is for allergies. Like it's gonna kick its ass. And I was like, I don't want to break my fast, but I had to. And it did. I mean, I literally woke up 8 to 10 hours later and not a single hive on me, not a single one.
Wow.
And my entire body was covered in these things.
Wow. That's so cool. I mean, you were pretty healthy, still, just because you drank coffee with some sugar. I mean, people today, they live a lot unhealthier than that.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of people who try, and they try something new like this, a fast or something. They change the diet, a vegan diet, and they change it abruptly, quick and fast. Mm-hmm. And they experience the same thing because the body, the detox becomes so intense. Yep. Like when you switch from toxic food to pure food like that, it's or nothing, like water, like you say.
Yeah, and I think that...
And people think that it's the fasting or the vegan food that's the problem. But no, it's just the old stuff that you're reacting against. They're flushing out. You're being cleansed, but they often mistake it as the fasting or the vegan food or whatever. But it's not that.
Yeah, and I think that because I had kind of the blind spot with the sugar and the coffee every day, usually I know because I fast like intermittently throughout the year that I know to like prepare my body, but I didn't know to prepare my body for that because it was just a blind spot. You know, I was like, oh crap, the sugar every day. Yes, that makes sense, but shit, I did not take that into account, into consideration, you know? So it is definitely, it's cleansing out and clearing out what's from before. It's not what's happening right now. And
exactly.
And that's the kind of the, you know, it makes me think of that on an energetic and a frequency level in creating our realities. Like when people want manifestations and they're like, well, you know, it's not here. And it's like, well, right now, where you are right now is a result of the previous version of you.
Yeah.
You know, and so if you want that manifestation, then you got to be present right now and then let that unfold.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can't, we're in a dense, Earth is very dense. Everything's really slow here. So
yeah. It's a process. Everything is a process. Like,
yes.
Yeah, exactly. That was a great reflection of you. Just, it's like that with everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is though. It really is. It's part of being in this, you know, I call it a dense ass reality. Every time I talk to my students or clients, I'm like, listen, we're in a dense ass reality. That's just what this place is. Okay. Everything's real slow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And that's why we are here, to uplift that density.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
What an amazing time to live in, to be birthed in. Wow.
I know. It's so powerful.
Yeah. It blows my mind every time I think about that. Mm-hmm. This is an extraordinary time. Truly.
Literally world changing.
Yeah. And like even all the old ancient people, the Incas, the Mayans, and all of them talked about this time period.
I know.
It's now.
It's wild. I'm like, wow, is this really, really real? Like, we're really a part of this. Like, I really came here for this. You know, sometimes I just have to kind of like remember. I'm like, wow, this is really happening. Yeah, and it's just gotten more like it's only gotten more and more clear as time goes on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like people are waking up all the time, all of these crazy, you know, collective events that are like totally in line with so many teachings and writings from like ancient history. I'm like, they had this shit dialed in like to the dot. Like,
yeah,
it's mind blowing. But yeah, It's just like, it confirms it, you know, when that time arrives and then that thing happens. Like, for example, the Great Conjunction, like,
yeah,
that was, you know, people had been talking about the 21st for years and years and years, December 21st, 2020, December 21st, 2020, you know, and then when it actually happened, I was like, oh, wow, this is actually happening. This is actually real. Like I can feel my entire energy system just shifted.
Yeah.
Like I just catapulted to a whole new timeline that and I didn't even do anything. I just went to sleep and woke up.
I had a drum ceremony with my mother.
Oh, good. That's beautiful.
Yeah, to anchor in the energies.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why. I always do ritual, but I was not called. I was called to sit by myself and be by myself and then go to sleep. Like that's literally all that I was asked to do. And
sounds like a ritual to me.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it was, and for some reason I just needed to be by myself. I don't know. There was plenty of things to do. There was all kind of online events too. And there was a lot that, to do, but I meditated so much that day. And then in the evening, just sat with myself and, I didn't watch I just literally sat there with myself and me and my cat just like hung out. And I felt like digesting, processing. My crown was like, whoa, wide open. And I was like, okay, I'm just chilling here, getting all these downloads. Like, my whole energy system is shifting and I can feel it. And I'm just like chilling here while it happens.
That's a great practice. Just doing nothing, receiving mode. Like that's the most important practice. Doing nothing.
Exactly. That's why it's so simple.
Yeah.
Like literally, guys, we're not kidding when we say just do nothing, and I promise it all works out. But I think that was also one of the big things that I learned in that, money fast was to like, I can just chill. Like I can just sit and do nothing. Me and my cat can just hang out and just be. And that's plenty in itself.
Yeah.
It so just true. Is. Well, I've really appreciated you, having you on. I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up. Is there anything, any kind of little tidbits or anything that you would love to leave with the listeners as like a final completion?
Yeah. Like, don't take life too seriously. It's like that quote, man suffers because he takes seriously what God made for fun, life. And that's like I say to myself every day, just remind yourself that this is play, this is life. Whatever you do, you can enjoy it. Just be present. Whatever it is, if you are present, things will go your way, no matter what you do, because you are love, you are spirit. And it's a divine process that will unfold beautifully when you are present.
Oh my gosh. I needed that reminder. Like, especially whenever you said that, it's like we're taking seriously what's play. Like, this is a playground and we're all taking it really seriously. Oh, thank you for that. I needed that deeply. Oh, my soul just like opened and I was just like, my eyes closed, hanging out. I'm like, yes. Well, thank you.
I love to talk like this. Thank you for inviting me. I mean, this is totally new for me. Talking like this is something I want to do a lot more. So I saw it like a synchronization from the universe. When you asked me to come, I was like, yes.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. I love that because I just hear the call and then I do it. And then like people are like, I've really, like for example, I had this lady that I asked her if she would do a ceremony, like a circle at my retreat. And she said the same thing. She was like, I have literally been like wanting to get into this and like really starting to like, crack down and do this and like, move in that direction. And she's like, and then you reached out to me and I'm like, I just follow the call, man. Like, I love it. So it's a beautiful confirmation. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have you on here. And thank you guys all listening. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. I honor you. And we will see you next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed that episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and if this was impactful for you at all, please share it with others. This is how we can help each other. Much love and namaste.